Yo. No, I'm not best in name. I'm prob. Hello, guys. So, this is the first video that I'm gonna do where I commentate over some ladder games. And I had a pretty cool streak going. I had like 6 games in a row. Some were good matchups, some were bad matchups. And then I lost because of this. Like, these E-Giant actually bypassed my Mortar because of my own Musketeer. Like, look at this. I had this Musketeer at the bridge, right? And this guy just puts an E-Giant down, and like, okay, fine, I can just Mortar. E-Giant can't bypass a Mortar. It's not a Golem. It's not a Goblin Giant. It can't bypass my Mortar. But look at this shit. He just walks to the left of my Musketeer and gets pushed by my own Musketeer. My very own Musketeer betrayed me and made me lose my game. And made me lose my streak. If I won this, which I definitely would have if that didn't happen, I would have been at 7 games in a row. We're not here to talk about the losses, we're here to talk about the wins. So those are the games that I'm gonna go over today. It's gonna be quite a long video, so strap in and put your favorite music in the background. We're not gonna have any music. It's just me talking and some Clash Royale music in the background. I mean, Clash Royale noises more than music. But yeah, the first one is a pretty hard matchup. It's Golem Lightning with E-Barbs and Bomber. Bomber makes this a lot harder. So like, you guys already probably know if you play Mortar Bait, Golem Lightning is a very hard matchup. It's not like a hard counter, but it's a pretty hard matchup. And when they have Bomber with it, it becomes even harder because you can't pressure as well, since you can only go with your goblins when the Bomber is out of cycle. But yeah, I immediately understood that this was a golem, so I decided to go for some spear gobs to kill the bomber and pressure at the same time. Because against golem you always want to pressure as much as possible, like you want to get as much damage as possible. And yeah, here I made a small mistake. You always want to fireball log the Night Witch, but in this case I didn't really have to log because the mortar shot would have actually killed the Mother Witch, so I could have just gotten away with a fireball. I didn't really need to log that. It doesn't really matter because we still end up defending pretty well here. Of course he snipes with a bomber, but I pull off a pretty good defense here by making the E-Barbs go to the right lane while the other tower takes care of that bomber, since he was already in range when the golem split. Now this guy has arrows and lightning, so he doesn't have fireball, which is pretty good. He doesn't have poison, which is pretty good. But then again, those variations of Golem Lightning are very rare. Usually they either have arrows or NATO, which, it's better for Mortar. It becomes like basically impossible when they have 2 big spells, which almost nobody does, but you never know. I've seen shit like that on ladder. So yeah, he manages to defend my push pretty well, even though I pre-logged this Carmi. So props to him for that. That was pretty good for a Golem player, I gotta say. And here I tried to set up a push. I tried to, put my troops far apart so you can't get lightning value by lightning my tower and my musket and my knight all with 1 lightning. He still defends this pretty well, but here I think I get a lot of fireball value, and look at all those skellies on the tower. You know what, that's worth rewinding for. So if you look at this whole sequence here, you see why Golem Lightning is actually a very winnable matchup if you know what you're doing. So in this case he's pressuring me, but I also go for that barrel right there, and if you look very carefully, yes, the tower is shooting all the skellies, but at the same time all the other troops are distracted at the bridge, so the skellies get like over 1000 damage. He goes for a lightning there, and I go for a pretty bad log. Like, the bomber would have died anyway, I didn't really need the log. So a lot of bad logs in this matchup, like unnecessary logs, I gotta say. But he doesn't arrows my goblin gang, so I just defend pretty well. Here he still has to go for a bomber, and I still get quite a lot of damage because his bomber was kinda late. Now here I fireball the bomber, not because it's value, but just because I decided to start spell cycling, since, as you go into overtime it becomes a lot easier for the golem player to kill you. He lightnings me, so I try to DPS the golem down as quickly as possible with a goblin gang. And yeah, now this is already over pretty much. Some of the skellies even connect to the tower, so I can just fireball, but even if they didn't, I could have just like fireball logged, and even if that weren't enough, I could have cycled to another log. So yeah, pretty clean match for the first match of the streak. Now this second one is a lot easier, one of the easier matchups, classic bait. This guy has E-Spirit in it, which makes it a little harder. It's not like impossibly hard, it's just a little harder. But yeah, what you want to do against the classic bait is double lane pressure. Always try to, you know, make them waste some cards. Here I fail a King Tower activation. I try to go for it because it's kind of useful when they outcycle your log. But it's not a big deal that I didn't activate it. It's a bigger deal that his E-Spirit connected to my tower actually than the fact that I didn't activate my King Tower. Since like you almost never get value from the King Tower anyway. So we didn't have a good cycle at the start, we didn't have a good starting hand, but that means that he didn't outcycle us now, because I just used Fireball the first time and logged the second time. Here goes for Knight, and by this point I'm already thinking like, how do I juke him? How do I spread his defenses thin over both lanes? Here I have to Fireball, because like I kind of had a bad cycle, I kind of had an awkward cycle. I couldn't use my goblins since he has E-Spirit instead of I-Spirit, which is why E-Spirit is actually better in this matchup. But my Muskie gets a good connection on that princess, so I don't need to spend any more elixir for it, which means that I'm not behind on elixir, which is pretty good. I have my login cycle, so he didn't outcycle me yet, and yeah, here I start to pressure. I don't go for a Mortar yet, because I don't know if he has Inferno Tower or Tesla yet, and here we get a little bit of damage. Another reason that E-Spirit is good is because it's a lot easier to defend the Skelly Barrels with it, when you don't have login cycle. But this is still a pretty good matchup for me. So here I made another kind of big mistake. I got outcycled again, so I had to use the Fireball, but even the Fireball, which is a minus 1 trade, went out late. So there was not only a negative elixir trade, there was also damage on my tower, which was pretty bad. Luckily, as long as you can break through even once in this matchup, you're fine, because then you can just keep building that pressure forever and ever and ever. And yeah, when I go for the first Mortar, I'm already trying to keep the infinite cycle of Mortars and Skelly Barrels going, and that's how you win this. So I think he made a mistake here. Like, I think that Inferno Tower doesn't connect, but I didn't realize it at the moment, so I went for Goblins anyway. It would have definitely connected if it were in range though. So yeah, one of my Mortars connects, and here I'm trying to like keep the streak going. He makes a big mistake with with those goblins, those defensive goblins, because he thought that my Mortar would have connected to his tower. So yeah, I just fireball the princess, it's on the weaker side anyway. Whenever you can get value for the princess, just fireball it, like with the tower, especially if it's on the weaker side. And yeah, I logged this, and by this point I'm literally just trying to never end my pressure. Like I always, yeah, I fireball that princess, for example, so that it doesn't kill all my troops, because I'm trying to, yeah, nice goblin gang here. I wait for the log and then I go for the goblin gang. But yeah, I'm trying to like just never finish pressuring. So now I go for another barrel, then I will probably go for another mortar. The reason I go for the barrel in the back here, well, it's not really to try to bait out the rocket, even though that was a great outcome there. It was actually because I wanted to put all the pressure out at once. So I wanted the mortar to be out exactly when the barrel was in front. But yeah, another mortar connects, and by this point this guy can't really do much. I would have gone for another fireball there if the skellies didn't finish it off. So yeah, once you get a good connection against classic bait, you can just take it all the way to the end. And by the way, I want to make you guys notice how fucking unlucky I am on ladder. Like, look at these plus trophies. Like, I lose 32 trophies, I lose 31 trophies, and then I win 25, 29, 26, 27, 28, 28. Like, it's so annoying. But yeah, let's go to the third match. This is also a pretty good matchup. It's the classic P.E.K.K.A bridge spam, but of course this guy has Fireball. Everybody's using Fireball instead of Poison. It's just because of the meta, but I liked it more when he had Poison. Not like the Fireball is harder to defend. In fact, I think the Fireball is easier for Mortar bait. But I don't know, it's just, it's kinda bad to see that nobody is using Poison anymore. But yeah, like, once I already see the Iwis and the Zap, I already know that it's P.E.K.K.A bridge spam. Now the only thing I don't know is if it's Fireball or Poison, but as you can see here, okay, let's rewind. This deserves a rewind. Look at this interaction here. He goes for the Battle Ram at the bridge, and I go for a Mortar to defend it. So he makes a big mistake. He goes for this Magic Archer. Now, if you guys don't know this yet, one Mortar shot plus a log kills a Magic Archer, and I have the added value of the barbs that just connected onto my Mortar. So for literally just 6 elixir, I can take care of his 8 elixir by just logging both the barbs and the Magic Archer. I also get the added damage of that Skelly Barrel since I was pressuring at the same time. That's like a lot of damage because he was waiting for his Magic Archer to defend all of that. But that like was just a pretty good defensive Mortar. Defended 8 elixir all by itself. I mean, with a log. So yeah, now he goes for a P.E.K.K.A in the back, and it's kinda awkward because I can't go for a Musketeer, since he will get to the bridge by the time the P.E.K.K.A reaches. So I try to go opposite lane, and here, instead of defending this, I just cycle a barrel to not leak elixir, and then I go for a Musketeer, because this Musketeer is going to defend the Ghost, the Bandit, and the P.E.K.K.A. So I basically sacrifice some tower health by letting the Ghost connect, but as an exchange, I can just get infinite value out of my Musketeer pretty much. And now I can go for this Mortar. I already knew that it will go Battle Ram opposite lane, but by the time the Battle Ram reaches the bridge, I already have my Goblin Gang down. And here it's kind of awkward, because I couldn't log the Ewis earlier, so my Mortar just dies. It doesn't really matter though, because I already got a lot of damage on his tower. And yeah, now we're just recharging elixir, both me and him. As you can see, I'm kinda down on elixir, but if you play your cards right, and if your opponent doesn't know that he can't spam you at the bridge, you can defend like a lot of elixir with just a little, and that's why this is Mortar's matchup. The only problem is that if they spam you at the bridge, and you're low on elixir, you're dead. They just take your wall tower, and you can't do anything about it. As you can see though, I defend this bandit pretty well. I also have the musketeer for the P.E.K.K.A. And he just got a lot of damage on that side. Like if you just ignore a Excalibur, he gets so much damage. I get a pretty good log here, and yeah, this Fireball was kinda bad, honestly, because I thought it would spam stuff at the bridge, that's why I went for it. But it doesn't really matter because I still have enough elixir to defend all of it. I was trying to get more value out of that Fireball though, so yeah, it was a pretty bad Fireball. I can just log this to get extra value. I don't know why I didn't. I should have probably logged. I guess the knight is also good, since otherwise the ghost would have gone invisible. But yeah, this is a pretty good log. It kills the magic archer as well, since the mortar shot splashed. I go for the goblins, both the spear goblins and the goblin gang, so that it kills everything on defense. It's better against P.E.K.K.A Bridgeman to go for the goblin gang first, so that they zap that, and then go for the spear goblins immediately after. Like, you don't even have to wait for them to zap it. They will just react to that immediately, and you already have the spear goblins down. Now this musketeer gets a lot of value as well, and I can defend this with just spear goblins. That position defends a full HP bandit, by the way, in case you didn't know that. And now I'm starting to cycle fireballs already. I thought that it was actually enough elixirs to just fireball, log, fireball, but it turns out I actually needed one more log, because I was like 8 HP off, something like that. I'm not very good with math, as you guys can see, but yeah, this guy realizes that I already won, so he just lets go, and that's a big dub. So yeah, one bad matchup, two good matchups so far. Is probably gonna get lucky again? Not at all. So look at this. This is Royal Giant. He doesn't have lightning, so he's not like a hard counter, but he has a bowler, and bowler is so annoying for mortar bait. He does have a level 12 bar barrel, which I just noticed. I don't know if that made any difference in the game though. Let's check this out. This one is against RCG Weight, and yeah, it's definitely not a good matchup. I can get a lot of value out of my fireballs, but if he plays it right, I should never get any damage ever. So here he already activates his King Tower, so I immediately go for a Goblin Gang at the bridge to like try to get some value out of it. It's not necessarily a good move actually, I just do it because I don't want to leak, especially after they activate the King Tower. But yeah, it's not necessarily a good move. Like if he had Bar Barrel in cycle, he could have just, Bar Barrel that, and now he has more pressure and his Iron Elixir. But yeah, it's pretty fine this far. I think I Fireball that, yeah, I Fireball that so that my Musketeer kills it before getting retargeted. And that ended up being a very good choice because then the Musketeer could retarget onto the Bar Barrel. The fact that the Bar Barrel was level 12 didn't actually matter there, since the tower was helping the Musketeer, so it still kills it in 2 shots. And I get 2 Mortar shots on the tower, which is pretty good. So now I have a damage lead, because, I had that pretty good Fireball that I didn't expect. But that doesn't really mean much, because once he realizes what deck I have, he can literally just cycle bowlers. Cycle bowlers on defense, I can never break through. He doesn't even defend that well here. I literally just needed to put a bowler down instead of that, but I tried to cycle Musketeers because by this point I thought, yeah, I didn't think he was Royal Giant. Now I realize that it's Royal Giant, and I start getting nervous because I think, oh wait, it's Royal Giant with Bowler. This guy probably has a Lightning in it as well. So yeah, here I just try to protect my Musketeer. I don't think I end up actually making it stay alive, or maybe I do. Oh yeah, no, it stays alive by like 1 HP, which is pretty good because now he has to waste a cage. And now that his cage is out of cycle, I can just go for a Skelly Barrel, which is pretty good. I don't know if I didn't go for it. Oh, I didn't go for it? If I didn't go for it, it's pretty bad. I should definitely go for a Skelly Barrel here. Yeah, especially after he wasted his NATO. So he goes for a bowler on the side there, which is pretty smart of him because now I can't fireball both the bowler and the E-Drag. But the Musketeer still kills the E-Drag and basically kills the bowler. Like I don't even need to answer it in any way. So here he tries to go opposite lane since I keep cycling my Musketeers. And that is a pretty good choice by him. So I try to like kite his Inferno Dragon, but then I realized that I still have to defend the RG, otherwise he's gonna get infinite damage. And here he NATOs everything. It's yeah, it was not a very good sequence for me because I had to go either for the kite or for the DPS. Going for both kinda made the kite useless. Like I basically just wasted 3 elixir on a Skelly Barrel that I could have used opposite lane. But yeah, here I realized by this point that he didn't have lightning because like would have definitely lightning already. And here he gets quite a bit of damage. But I just ignore the other lane because then, they just equal damage. And this guy is definitely not gonna like split lane pressure me with this deck. And here I go for a Musketeer. It defends both the bowler and the left lane push. And look at this, look at this. This Mortar is amazing. Because, okay, this actually deserves a rewind. If you look at this pressure here, you can already see that his deck gives me a lot of fireball value. And I was like, I can definitely get a Mortar shot on his tower here, because he's pressuring me. There is no way that he's gonna put a defensive cage or something, to distract my Mortar. So I tank for the Royal Giant, but at the same time, I go for that Mortar shot. The Fireball is just in time to just, distract everything. I mean, just stagger everything, I guess. Basically, just delays everything for long enough that my Mortar gets a shot on the tower. And here the Skellies, plus the log, plus a Fireball, just takes care of everything. I probably have to do one more log. And yeah, just put whatever down. I should have just spammed here so I get to my log as fast as possible, but it doesn't really matter, I already won. So yeah, pretty hard matchup. It would have probably been like a super hard counter if he had lightning instead of fireball, but he ended up having fireball, so I was able to win that. And now for what I believe is the not the last match, we have another one after that. So this next match is E-Giant with double hut, and if you guys have ever played, like, well, I was gonna say Mortar bait, but like, if you guys have ever played any bait ever, you know how annoying double hut can be. So yeah, as soon as they play a hut in the back like that, you already know that they have double hut. And here I try to go for a pretty ballsy move. Instead of fireballing the Mother Witch, which is usually what you do, I decided to fireball the hut so that I can get log value. Because look at this. After you fireball the hut, all the goblins get out. And I can just like get infinite value with that. Especially because he played another hut right after that. So against Furnace, you don't really want to give them value by, defending each single fire spirit individually. You want to like try to go for a small counter push. Nothing too big because then they get an even bigger counter push and you're dead. Like just something small enough that the fire spirits don't connect to your tower. Like just a musketeer is pretty good. And yeah, I went for a knight here. I don't really need to defend the rest of that furnace. And yeah, here he gives me a lot of fireball value. You always want to fireball the huts, especially when they give you extra value like that cannon card right there. And yeah, a log as well is gonna kill all of this. So I try to time my log so it kills all the goblins, but I miss one. It doesn't really matter, just one spear. One spear is not too much, but I was pretty much like waiting for the goblin hut to pop after the fireball hit it. And I still needed the log for the cannon card, so I had to log that no matter what. Here he shows me E-Giant, which I had no idea he had E-Giant until he played it, because even though E-Giant double hut is a thing, like some big number of people play it, I wouldn't realize that that's what it was. So yeah, of course he fireballed the Mother Witch. If you can try to like, okay, this deserves a rewind as well. If you can try to time your fireballs against Mother Witch in a way that there are no hogs left on the field, it's super good because your skellies get a lot of damage. Otherwise, if there is even one hog, the skellies get distracted and you basically get no damage on their tower. So it's very hard to get the timing down right, but yeah. If you can kill the hogs with the fireball as well, you get like, look at that. That is basically what gave me the win. Just a very well timed fireball is what's gonna give you wins against all of those Mother Witch decks. Not just this, like, you guys know the drill bridge spam that like literally everybody's playing? Like it's literally the second most popular deck in the game right now. Like more people use that than classic bait. A fucking drill deck just came out. It's already the second most used deck in the game. But yeah, I digress. Even against that deck, if you can get a very good timed fireball against one of their Mother Witches, you can just take their tower just like that. So yeah, basically finished off his tower there. I can just play a knight like that because it's very good to take towers, not just because it makes you win the game, of course, but also because it allows you more options where to play your troops. And yeah, just like very easy defense at the end, and that's about it. He just gives up, and I end up 3-crowning him. Imagine 3-crowning a double hut player with Mortar bait. I know, right? Impossible. For this last matchup, which is the last matchup, I should have definitely won this one. Bro, I can't get over the fact that this guy literally just bypassed my Mortar. This guy literally just bypassed my Mortar without even trying. He just bypassed it thanks to my own Musketeer. Look at this is so annoying. Like how can you predict that? How can you react to that? There is no way that I could have ever thought that this E-Giant would just walk left on my Musketeer. It's so annoying, man. I know they already showed this, but come on, this is just bullshit. Like look at that, it was gonna go right, and he just decides to go left of my Musketeer. He just bypasses my Mortar entirely, and that's game. I can't do anything. So annoying. But yeah, let's show another lightning game, not this one, against Lava Loon Lightning. So Lava Loon is actually not a super hard matchup for Mortar Bait. I wouldn't go as far as saying that I have matchup, but against the regular Lava Loons, it's pretty much 50-50. Lava Loon Lightning, on the other hand, it's basically, like, it's not a hard counter, but it's a very, very hard matchup. It's like barely not a hard counter, because you can't stack Musketeers, which is usually what you do against Lava. So here I do something stupid. I cycle my Muskie, even though I saw the Tombstone. Usually when you see Tombstone, you already know it's Lava Loon, and you don't want to cycle your first Muskie before you know where they're gonna play their Lava. But this guy is stupid, so he played his Lava on the same lane of my Muskie anyway. Here I try to make my Muskie survive by fireballing and spear goblining the Mega Minion, and he takes advantage of that by just using a loon opposite lane. Doesn't really matter though, because even though he gets 2 hits, since I didn't have enough elixir for an earlier Muskie, I still get more damage on his lane, so it's fine. But if I had like slightly more elixir, I could have just made that loon get 1 hit only, which would have been great. It's still fine though, I can ignore these guards, it doesn't really matter the damage that is getting on the other tower. And here he goes for a tombstone opposite lane, so I just finish off his tower. Why not? It's just 3 elixir, and I need to cycle to my next Muskie anyway. So yeah, I go for a knight here. I think I even go for a log. I just need to cycle to my Muskie. So like, pretty much any value, yeah. Like even if I don't get the tower, I'm just gonna cycle that. I need to cycle something anyway. So here I try to, okay, here I do something pretty stupid. I try to block his lava at the bridge because I thought that he would play Loon. Because like if he plays Loon and you just go Mortar at the bridge, you block his lava and the Loon goes forward. But that was a stupid move because he didn't have his Loon in hand yet. So he basically just gave him lightning value. In my defense, I didn't know that he had lightning yet. Like this was the first time that I saw the lightning, so I didn't really expect it. Even though usually when you see guards, you know that it's like a weird deck. So yeah, here I basically just lose my tower, but it was like just 1000 HP anyway, so it's not a huge deal. I need to just take his second tower. That should be my priority. So in a 2-tower game against Lavaloon, you pretty much always want to stack musketeers. Like if you have musketeer in your hand, play it, because you want to get to the next musketeer as soon as possible. You want to play as many musketeers as possible. And yeah, I go for a mortar at the bridge so that he can just kill my musketeer. He needs to play something like feed my musketeer, give it value pretty much. And the mortar also gets a shot, so not only we get the value of that loon, we also get the shot of the mortar, and we cycle to our next musketeer. So look at all this value. That musketeer is getting so much value. I try to make these musketeers survive more by putting a mortar down, but that doesn't really work out. And in fact, yeah, that mortar was very bad. You can just go for a loon opposite, and I have to fireball it. So yeah, failed mortar there. It was supposed to tank for the baby dragon so that my muskie would survive, but I played it a little too late. It's fine though, because as long as you keep stacking your musketeers, there is no way that they ever break through. I go for a knight in the middle so that the Skellies get some value on the tower. Like any small amount of damage, you take it, because it's gonna always end up in these games that either you completely overwhelm them, or they're gonna start spell cycling you, and it's gonna be very close with the tiebreaker. So you can go for mortars like this against loons when you're in a 2-tower game, because they almost always get a shot on their tower and they always make the loon go back. It's pretty good value. I thought that my musketeer would get tanked for there by the knight. It didn't really happen, but it's fine. We got some good damage because of that mortar, and then just trying to keep cycling my musketeers so that he can never break through. It's pretty much a very defensive game. Those musketeers are aggressive, yes, but they are trying to just not make him go in. As long as they have a musketeer in the field, he can't do anything. And yeah, I go for that mortar. He doesn't get a shot because he plays his tombstone, but here I go for a bad fireball. I was trying to get both the loon and the baby dragon. He still ended up having value because my musketeer survives. And here I am in a pretty bad cycle. If you see, my musketeer is already up there, so it means that he's not gonna get any extra value. And he didn't have my first musketeer in cycle. So I played a very awkward musketeer there. He gets a lot of lightning value here, and if he came back at all, it would probably have been because of that musketeer, because of that weird cycle. But it's fine because we get another mortar shot, and it's very close to the tiebreaker. I just need to fireball here, and yeah, he's gonna play another loon, but I'm already back to my mortar, and we're fine. I can literally just play another musketeer. There's no way he breaks through in the next 10 seconds. So yeah, pretty much just always try to have as many musketeers as possible on the field, and try to pressure too. Don't just defend, don't just put musketeers. Try to pressure as well, so that he can't, keep spamming you. And yeah, that was pretty much 30 minutes. 30 minutes of Mortar Bait content on the dot. Right now I'm not even top 1k, I kinda tilted out of it, but it's a pretty bad meta for Mortar Bait this season. I'm still gonna try to finish top 1k, but I wanted to give a go to, the commentated games. because I really like what Best NA is doing with his channel, and they wanted to give more content like that. So I'm trying to be the Best NA of Mortar. Alright, peace out, Girl Scout.